This tiny babe is a Bindeez, and in 2007, this toy was everywhere. It was so popular that it made the top 12 best toys of the year, and honestly, it made sense. The idea was super simple. You make little drawings using colorful beads, add a bit of water, and like magic, the beads stick together. Everything looked well designed. Water spray bottles, design templates, even a small fan to help you draw your creations. On paper, it was almost too perfect. Except they messed up one small detail. The glue that made the beads stick contained an extremely toxic chemical, GHP. Very quickly, kids who swallow the bead start vomiting, twisting in pain, and then falling into a coma. Just imagine that for a second. Your child is playing quietly in the living room. You step away for a few minutes, and when you come back, they are unconscious. After the scandal, the toy was immediately recalled in the United States and Australia. More than 4.2 million units were removed from stores. The toy was eventually banned. Thankfully this time, no deaths were reported. When we think about children's toys, we imagine highly controlled products, super safe, tested, and approved under strict regulations, right? Well, not at all. You will not believe how many toys have been just as dangerous as Bindeez. Some of them were extremely popular, and they caused serious injuries, poisoning, and sometimes even death. And that's what almost happened to August Pullman. Do you remember Bindeez? I recall the commercial for those things. They were everywhere. You and I could have played with them. I mean, it was a pretty cool toy, a building kit with small magnetic balls that let you create almost anything. Honestly, it looked awesome. But for many parents, that toy quickly turned into a nightmare, and that's exactly what happened to August's mother. One morning, her 19-month-old son suddenly started complaining about stomach pain. He is crying and holding his belly. At first, she thinks he might be dehydrated or just had a small stomachache. Nothing too serious. But the pain doesn't go away, it gets worse, much worse. Worried, she takes him to the doctor. They run some tests, and what they discover is absolutely terrifying. Inside August's body, doctors find dozens of small metal balls. But that's not even the worst part, because this is where the real danger begins. The magnet had started clumping together inside his stomach, pulling toward each other through his intestines. Little by little, they were tearing holes in his organs. At only 19 months old, little August had to go through major surgery. For 3 hours, doctors worked to remove all the metal balls and repair the damage. And here is the scary part. Accidents like this happen way more often than we think. Every year, thousands of similar cases are reported. And very often, they cause a small, colorful bead that kids mistake for cancer. Just like another toy just as dangerous, monster-sized colossus water balls. At first glance, they look like harmless little colorful beads. But put them in water, and they grow up to 20 times their size. And what is the human body made of? About 70% water. So, when kids swallow these beads, they keep growing inside their body. In many cases, surgery is needed to remove them. Luckily, August survived this time, but not every child is that lucky. That's what happened to Wes Billum, an 8-year-old boy from Harrogate. After swallowing magnetic balls, he didn't survive. So yes, we can say these are among the worst toys ever made. Absolute bottom of the barrel. But can we go even lower? Oh yes, we absolutely can. Let me introduce you to the Atomic Energy Lab, probably the most famous dangerous toy in history. The idea behind this kit was to introduce kids to the wonders of atomic energy and nuclear physics. Inside the box, you could find a daily counter, electroscope, and believe it or not, real radioactive materials like uranium and polonium. And yes, this was made for children. How was that even possible? In reality, the kit wasn't as dangerous as it sounds. The radioactive materials were included in very tiny amounts, and the radiation level were not much higher than what you get from lying in salt. As long as kids did not break the small containers holding the uranium, there was supposedly nothing to worry about, at least in theory. As you might expect, the toy did not sell very well, and no, it was not even because of the radioactive materials. The real problem was the price. The kit cost about $48 at the time, which will be over $600 today, and which is in some way even scarier than the toy itself. So the company stopped selling it in 1951 after only about 5,000 units had been sold. But for a moment, instead of talking about just one toy, I want us to focus on the company behind all of this, the Gilbert Company. Founded in 1909 by a magician named Alfred Carlton Gilbert, the company quickly became very successful, even turning into one of the biggest toy companies in the world. But what I have not told you yet is that in the 50s, this company made headlines for toys that were each more dangerous than the last. Honestly, I don't know why, but they seem completely obsessed with the idea of selling kids toys that mimic the exact tools adults use in factories. A kit to blow glass heated to over 500 degrees? No problem. a real-cutting circular saw, the saw kit could work like that? Absolutely yes. But the craziest one was their chemistry set for real young scientists. Inside there were bottles filled with acids, toxic chemicals, poisons, and even a manual teaching kids how to make their own explosive. Seriously, good job guys. The good old 50s when toys were fun and educational. I don't know if you read this, but the 50s were a true experimentation era for toys maker. It was like the Wild West for toys, with very few laws to control anything, and when 9 out of 10 toys would basically send you straight to the hospital. What? Don't believe me? Fine, let's pick one at random. Creepy colors. If you grew up in the 90s, you probably remember this story. I remember my brother had some of this. The idea was super simple. You put a liquid called plastic group into molds, put them in a small machine, and a few minutes later you could get a little rumors you could stick everywhere, on the walls, the fridge, even on your dad's glasses if you want. And when you squeeze them, glue came out. Big cross 90s humor. But what I didn't know is that creepy colors actually exists as far back as the 60s. And the idea was almost the same, with one small difference. The machine was basically a tiny oven that heat up to over 390 degrees, perfect for a kid to burn their fingers on a hot plate. And let's not forget the nasty toxic fume coming from the plates while they were heating. But we can do even better because Big 2007 has nothing to envy from the 60s. Still in the category of toys that heat up, let me introduce you to the Easy Bake Oven, a plastic oven for kids that could reach temperature of up to 350 degrees. And already you can see the problem coming because sadly a little girl lost her fingers after getting them burned in the machine. Are we finally reaching the worst? I don't know. But the next story I swear is on another level. I honestly don't even have the words to describe it, so I'd rather just show you.
It's a new thing, it's a fun thing, it's a swing wing, it's a what?
Before we talk about what this story does, can we take 2 seconds to praise the marketing team here? Seriously, they somehow managed to sell you ribbons that you attach to your helmet and that move when you turn your head. And that's not even the craziest part. Like, they made up tons of cereal to convince you it was awesome. Like, good when you're doing gymnastics or perfect for rowing. Yeah, but no thank you. And also, besides looking very silly, this toy makes absolutely no sense. Of course, if you turn your head, the ribbons both. It attached to your fucking helmet. Not surprisingly, this toy was banned very quickly. So after it was released, there were many neck injuries reported. Honestly, I don't even know how this thing even get approved. The next toy? Yeah, I think we can all agree that this one might be the worst of them all. Uranium, toxin, GHB, that's almost cute compared to this one. Let me introduce you to the crown jewel of our collection. Ranked number 1 among the 10 most dangerous toys of all time. Lone Dark Mrs. James. And oh, don't trust the picture. They are not that small. They're actually this big. The game itself sounds pretty normal at first, kind of like house shoes or cornhole, where you throw an object as close as possible to a target. Except here, the thing you're throwing is a giant dart with a metal chip 7-inch long. And when they say dart, don't picture a tiny thing you throw at the board. We are talking about a heavy projectile that can land really far away. There are even videos of people throwing them over 32 yards on YouTube. The game came out in the 50s and in the 70s it almost got it back. But the manufacturers managed to negotiate with the Consumer Product Safety Commission so that the toy just will not be sold to kids anymore, only to adults. Spoiler, that didn't work. Between January 1978 and December 1986, more than 6,000 children ended up in the emergency room because of injuries caused by this massive dart. And among those thousands of accidents, there were 2 deaths. So in 1988, the commission voted again, and this time the toy was banned for good. Seriously though, how did kids from that era even survive? Maybe the boomers were right. Maybe life was really hard back then. So that's it. Are this the most dangerous toy ever made? Not quite. Because as you can imagine, there have been a crazy number of dangerous toys toward the story. What we covered here is just the tip of the iceberg. Spiking that could literally expose you to cancer-causing materials. Moon shoes that destroy your organs. Sky monster that flew straight into kid eyes, or girl that ripped out hair a finger. We got more than enough for a part 2. But while I was researching all this, one question kept coming back over and over. Why? Why did so many companies seem to care so little about children's safety? From toys for the 50s, we can almost understand, but for toys made in our time, there's no excuse. And when you really think about it, the answer is simple: money. Take Bindeez for example. telling us they were so dangerous because the manufacturer decided to replace the recommended chemical with a much cheaper one. Except once that chemical entered the body, it turned into GHB. So that's it. Out of this just to save a little more money? Well, not always. Actually, that's the reason I'm bringing this up, because I wanted to give a small bit of introduction to one toy we talked about earlier, the Atomic Energy Lab. Yes, it was radioactive, but beyond it, there was a real educational goal. When the toy came out in the 50s, it was right after World War II, during the Cold War, and the whole world was terrified of atomic weapons. Through the Atomic Energy Lab, Gilbert wanted to demystify nuclear energy and encourage a scientific understanding instead of pure fear. And honestly, as a nerd myself, I would have loved to try that kit. Just look at it, this thing gives me serious failed vibes. But before we finish, there's one last thing we need to settle. When we started this video, we all had one question in mind. What is the most dangerous toy ever made? Which one do you think deserves to be crowned the worst toy of all time? Is it the Bindeez, the Atomic Energy Lab, or the Lone Dart Instant Games? For me, it's clearly the Lone Dart and not even close. But I think Gilbert Atomic Energy Lab is a pretty good contender. Alright folks, that's all I have for you today. If you enjoyed the video, make sure to subscribe and turn on notifications so you don't miss what's coming next. I've got plenty more videos like this on the way, and if you ever played with any of the toys we talked about, tell me about it in the comments. I really want to hear your stories. For example, I clearly remember that weird smell from creepy colors without having any idea it was toxic, and I'm sure for a lot of you it was the same. Alright, I won't keep you any longer. See you soon. Ciao.